Tonight, you'll climb into bed and chase your 8 hours and you'll still wake up wrecked. So how did people with lives 1,000 times harder than yours sleep less than you do and wake up fine? That's the question, and almost nobody has the real answer, because you've been told a story about your ancestors. The story says they slept long and heavy in the safety of a cave, that we're the tired ones, the broken ones, the sleep-deprived generation staring at glowing screens. But for 99.9% of human history, nobody counted a single hour of sleep. There were no clocks, no alarms, no 8-hour target to hit or miss. There was only the dark, the cold, and a body that had to shut down at exactly the right moment or never wake up at all. And when scientists finally went out and measured the last people still living the old way, wiring them up night after night, what they found did not match the story at all. It quietly demolished it. These people slept less than you, they fell asleep faster than you, and they almost never lay awake in the dark, torturing themselves at 3 in the morning the way you do. The answer to how they did it isn't in a book. It's out there in the ancient night itself, in the cold air of a world you were built for and have never actually lived in. Picture the world Flint lies down in. When the sun drops behind the ridgeline, the darkness that comes is not the soft gray of a modern bedroom. It is total. You cannot see your own hand. You cannot see the edge of the fire until an ember pops and throws a red flicker across the ground. There are no walls, there is no door to lock, no roof over his head, nothing between his sleeping body and the open ground but a thin ring of dying light. The air turns cold fast, sinking down out of the black sky and settling over the camp like water. And out past that ring of embers, the night is alive with things that hunt in it far better than he ever could. Flint has no way to know what time it is. No clock ticks, no screen glows. He cannot check how many hours are left until dawn, because the very idea of an hour does not exist yet. There is only the position of the stars and the slow burn of the wood he gathered before dark. And here's where it becomes life and death, not comfort. If he sleeps too deeply, he never hears the thing moving through the grass. If he lies in the open too long, the cold or a predator finds him before morning does. But he cannot simply stay awake. A body pushed through the day on foot, hunting and hauling and climbing, has to shut down or it fails. So he needs sleep, the way he needs breath, in a place that punishes anyone who sleeps wrong. You'd assume that means he slept for hours and hours, deep and long, banking every minute he could steal from the dark. That assumption is exactly where everything falls apart. Watch what happens to Flint's body as the last light drains out of the sky. He is not deciding to sleep. Something older than any decision is reaching up through him and pulling him down. As the glow fades, his eyelids grow heavy on their own. His limbs go slack. His thoughts slow and thicken until holding a single one in place takes real effort. This is not a schedule. No part of him is thinking, "It's late, I should rest now." There is no clock, no bedtime, no habit. There is only a body that reads the dying light and the dropping temperature and begins quietly to shut itself off. And here's the sharper question, the one the danger of that night forces on you. If the dark was crawling with things that could kill him, why not just stay awake? Why not sit up by the embers, spear across his knees, and guard himself until dawn? Because he cannot. Exhaustion is not a suggestion your body offers you. It is a demand it makes. And it does not take no for an answer. A man who has walked for miles, tracked, hauled meat, and climbed all day cannot simply choose to keep his eyes open. Push past a certain point, and the body takes the sleep anyway, wherever you happen to be sitting. So Flint's real problem was never how to avoid sleep. It was when to let it take him, and how to be down and defenseless for the shortest, safest window possible, and to understand how his body solved that. Scientists had to find the last people on Earth still living exactly this way and measure them night after night. So that is exactly what they did. In 2015, a team of sleep researchers led by Jerome Siegel at UCLA went looking for people who still lived the way Flint did, with no electricity, no heating, no bedrooms, and no idea what a mattress is. They found 3 groups spread across 2 continents. The Hadza, hunting and gathering in the dry bush of northern Tanzania, the San of the Kalahari in southern Africa, and the Tsimane living along the rivers of the Bolivian Amazon. These are not people acting out an old lifestyle for cameras. They walk for their food, they sleep on the ground or on thin hides, and when the sun goes down, their world goes dark, just like Flint's. The team fitted them with monitors on their wrists, devices that quietly track their movement and their sleep across whole nights, week after week, without anyone having to guess or remember anything in the morning. Then they collected the data and did the math, and the number that came back should have been impossible. On average, these people slept only about 5.7 to 7.1 hours a night. Read that again. Under 7 hours, and often much less. That is less sleep than the stressed office worker in a heated apartment, the one who blames every yawn on modern life and screens and stress. No beds, no medicine, no thermostat. Harder days than almost anyone alive today will ever face. Walking miles, carrying loads, exposed to real danger, and they slept less, not more. Everything you have been told points the wrong way. We are supposed to be the exhausted ones, and they are supposed to be the well-rested ones, sleeping deep in the peace of a simpler world. The numbers say the exact opposite, which leaves one enormous question hanging in the cold night air. If they slept less than you night after night after night, why weren't they wrecked the way you are? But the number was only half of it, because the researchers found something even stranger than how little these people slept. They almost never lay awake in the dark. There was no tossing, no staring at nothing, no long hollow stretch in the middle of the night, waiting for a mind that would not switch off. In fact, when scientists tried to talk to these groups about it, they hit a wall. Several of them had no real word for insomnia at all. The thing you dread, the 3 a.m. ceiling stare that swallows an hour of your life, was not a common problem they lived with. It was closer to a concept they did not need. Watch Flint, and you see why he does not lie down and wrestle himself toward sleep. When his body reaches the edge, he goes over it fast, dropping into the dark almost the moment he settles onto the hide, and then he stays down. He does not surface at midnight to chew on the day. He does not wake in a cold panic and count the hours he has left. He simply drops and holds and rises again, only when the first gray light bleeds over the ridgeline and the birds begin. And this is not luck. In a night, this dangerous broken sleep was a threat all its own. A body that only half rested could not walk the miles the next day demanded. The scarcity of the night made unbroken rest essential, and Flint's body delivered it without a fight, night after night after night. So how did he do it? How did a man with no bed and no safety fall asleep in seconds and stay under until dawn, when you cannot manage it in a locked, silent room? The answer is one signal, and we have quietly broken it. But here's what almost nobody tells you. The signal that pulled Flint under was not the darkness at all. When Siegel's team looked closer at their data, they found that the thing best predicting when these people fell asleep was not the setting of the sun. It was the falling temperature of the air after dusk. Night after night, their bodies did not switch off when the light went out. They switched off as the air around them cooled. Watch Flint now. At the deepest point of his night, the fire has burned down to a dull red glow. The cold has come sinking out of the black sky and settled over him, seeping into the ground beneath his back, wrapping around his bare skin. And that cold is not just discomfort he endures. That cold is the switch. As his body loses a little of its own heat to the night, a chain of signals fires deep inside him, and it drops him into sleep and holds him there. He does not wake at midnight because the night keeps getting colder, and his body keeps getting the same steady command to stay down. Then, in the hour before dawn, the ground begins to warm. The air lifts a degree, then another, and as that faint warmth rises around him, the command reverses, and his body quietly lets him surface. Right as the first light comes, he is not woken by an alarm. He is woken by the temperature of the whole world turning upward. This is the part that should stop you cold. You have never once slept in a falling temperature night. You sleep in a heated box, held at the same warm daytime temperature from the moment you lie down to the moment you rise. The room where you chase your 8 hours never cools. So the switch that put every one of your ancestors under, effortlessly for hundreds of thousands of years, never gets thrown for you at all. The signal your body is still waiting for in the dark simply never arrives. Here is what should land on you sitting in your warm room right now. That same switch is still inside you. Nothing about it has been removed or lost. The exact chain of signals that dropped Flint into the dark still runs in your body tonight, waiting for the one cue it has always waited for. You are not broken. When you lie in a silent room and cannot fall, when you surface at 3 in the morning and stare at the ceiling, that is not a defect in you. It is a signal that never arrived. Your body is holding the door open for a drop in temperature that a thermostat quietly cancels every single night. It reads the warm, steady air as daytime and refuses to fully let you go. And this is the strangely hopeful part. The switch is not gone. It is just unpressed. You do not need a cave or a dying fire to reach it. A cooler room, a colder night, letting the air around you fall the way it once, always fell after dark, brushes against the same ancient trigger. The oldest sleep aid your species ever had was never a warmer bed. It was a colder one. But that is only one thing we quietly switched off, and it makes you wonder what else about our nights and our days we broke without ever noticing. So think about what that really means about the people you came from. They did not need more sleep than you. They needed a world that still sent the signal, a night that still felt cold around them, and did the work their bodies were built to answer. That world is gone, and the signal with it. And the tired, wired feeling you carry into every morning is the cost of a switch we turned off without ever knowing it was on. But a body that runs its nights on the cold still has to run its days on something. Flint woke with the dawn to a stomach that was already empty and a land that gave up nothing for free. So what did he actually put in his body to walk those miles, hunt that food, and survive on so little rest? Because that answer is even stranger than this one. If the cold ran their nights, then hunger ruled their days, and what ancient humans actually ate to stay alive will change how you look at every meal you have ever eaten. And that story is waiting for you on your screen right now. Subscribe to Before History and keep uncovering the world you came from.